Think back, if you will, to the early 2000s. On a Friday night, where might you have gone to rent a movie? The answer for millions was a familiar blue and yellow ticket stub, Blockbuster Video. At its peak, it was a behemoth, a cultural institution with thousands of stores worldwide. Now, it's a relic, a ghost of retail past, survived by a single nostalgic location in Oregon. What happened? In the same era, Nokia was the undisputed king of mobile phones. Its name synonymous with durability and innovation. Today, its market share is a sliver of what it once was. These stories are not anomalies. They are cautionary tales from the brutal battlefield of business. They illustrate a fundamental truth. Success can be incredibly fleeting. Being on top today offers no guarantee of being there tomorrow. This raises a critical question for any entrepreneur, leader, or investor. What separates the flashes in the pan from the enduring legacies? What is the secret ingredient that allows some companies to not just succeed, but to dominate their industries for decades, fending off wave after wave of competition? The answer lies in a concept that is the holy grail of business strategy: a sustainable competitive advantage. It's the moat around the castle, the invisible wall that protects a company's profits and market position from invaders. In today's episode, we're going to deconstruct this vital concept. We're moving beyond the buzzwords to understand what it truly takes to stay ahead in the long term. We'll be grappling with some crucial questions. What really constitutes a competitive advantage? And what makes it sustainable? Is it simply about having the best product, the lowest price, or is it something deeper, something woven into the very DNA of the business? How can companies build these formidable moats that are so difficult for rivals to cross? And in your current age of relentless disruption, is the very idea of a long-term advantage becoming a fantasy? Join me as we're going to explore the architecture of enduring businesses. This episode is your primer, a foundational look into the sources of lasting corporate power. But as with any profound topic, this conversation is merely the gateway. True strategic acumen is built not through shortcuts, but through rigorous study, deep research, and critical analysis of the world around you. I'm just here to provide you with the framework and the vocabulary. The quest for deeper knowledge is yours to embark on. So if you're ready to learn what separates the great from the forgotten, stay tuned. I'm Danny, and this is English Plus Podcast. At its heart, a competitive advantage is anything that allows a company to produce a good or service better or more cheaply than its competitors. This might lead to higher sales, greater profits, and a larger market share. However, a simple advantage is often temporary. A hit product can be copied. A brilliant marketing campaign can be imitated. A price cut can be matched. The key, the word that changes everything, is sustainable. A sustainable competitive advantage is one that is durable, one that competitors find incredibly difficult to erode or replicate over a long period. Think of it as a structural feature, not a temporary tactic. Legendary investor Warren Buffett popularized the term of an economic moat to describe these advantages. A medieval castle was protected by a wide moat filled with water, making it difficult for enemies to attack. In business, a company's long-term value is protected by its economic moat. The wider the moat, the more sustainable the advantage. So, what are these moats made of? Strategy experts generally point to four primary sources. First, and perhaps most powerful in the digital age, are network effects. A network effect occurs when the value of a product or service increases for each new user that joins. The classic example is the telephone. A single telephone is useless. 2 telephones create a network. 1,000,000 telephones create an indispensable tool for communication. Social media platforms like Facebook or professional networks like LinkedIn are modern titans of this moat. Your friends are on Facebook, so you join. Because you joined, another friend joins. It creates a cycle that becomes almost impossible for any new competitor to break. Why would you join a new social network if no one you know is there? So that was the first thing, the network effects. And the second moat is intangible assets. Now, these are powerful advantages that you can't physically touch. This category includes brands, patents, and regulatory licenses. A patent gives a pharmaceutical company a legal monopoly to sell a new drug for a set period, allowing it to recoup its massive research and development costs. A regulatory license might give a utility company the exclusive right to provide electricity in a certain region. But perhaps the most common intangible asset is a powerful brand. Why do people pay a premium for a cup of coffee from Starbucks or a smartphone from Apple? It's not just the product, it's the brand. A brand like Coca-Cola has been built over a century, fostering an emotional connection and a perception of quality that is almost inimitable. It exists in the minds of consumers, and you can't simply copy that. So that's the second moat, intangible assets. What about the third one? Well, third, we have a cost advantage. Well, this is the ability to produce and deliver a product or service at a consistently lower cost than competitors. This allows a company to either undercut rivals on price and win market share, or to sell at the same price and enjoy a higher profit margin. This advantage can stem from several places. It could be from proprietary technology that makes manufacturing more efficient. It could come from a unique geographic location close to raw materials. Most famously, it comes from economies of scale. A company like Walmart can demand lower prices from its suppliers because it buys in such vast quantities, a benefit a small local store simply cannot match. And finally, the fourth moat is high switching costs. Switching costs are the pain points in terms of time, money, or effort that a consumer would experience if they were to switch from one provider to another. Now think about the bank you use. Moving all your accounts, automatic payments, and direct deposits to a new bank would be a significant hassle, even if another bank offers a slightly better interest rate. This is a switching cost. Enterprise software companies like SAP or Salesforce are masters of this. Once a large corporation has integrated its systems and trained thousands of employees on a platform, the cost and disruption of switching to a competitor become astronomical. Apple's ecosystem is another prime example. The seamless integration between your iPhone, Mac, and Apple Watch creates high switching costs, keeping you loyal to the brand. Well, understanding these four moats is crucial because it helps distinguish real, durable strength from fleeting success. A company can have a visionary CEO or a hot product, but those are not sustainable advantages on their own. The CEO can leave or die. The product can be eclipsed. A true economic moat is what allows a company to weather storms, fend off competitors, and compound its success over the long term. It is the deliberate, strategic construction of a fortress designed to stand the test of time. So, my friends, that was about building a sustainable competitive advantage. As I told you, that's just the beginning. If you really want to dig in deep, you will have to conduct a search on your own. Trust me, knowledge and expertise takes time. But anyway, we're not done with today's episode. We still have our focus on language and, of course, our discussion questions at the end. So now we have our focus on language, our vocabulary, and speaking. So let's zoom in on some of the language we just used in our talk about the competitive advantage. Now, the world of business strategy has a rich vocabulary that is incredibly useful, not just for sounding professional, but for thinking with more clarity and precision. So let's break down some of the key terms we used. Let's begin with the adjective fleeting. Now, I describe the success of some companies as fleeting. Now, fleeting means lasting for a very short time, something that is brief or transient. A fleeting smile, a fleeting moment of panic, a fleeting glimpse. It captures the sense of something being temporary and quick to disappear. This contrasts perfectly with its opposite, enduring. Now, I talked about enduring legacies. Enduring means continuing or lasting for a long time. For example, an enduring friendship, an enduring work of art, an enduring mystery. Using these two words together helps to create a powerful contrast between short term success and long term greatness. Next, let's look at the verb to erode. Now, I said a sustainable advantage is one that competitors find difficult to erode. Now, to erode means to gradually wear away or destroy something. Now, we often think of it in a physical sense, like how the sea can erode a cliff face over centuries. But it's a fantastic metaphor for business. A competitor can try to erode your market share by cutting prices. A series of bad decisions can erode customer trust. It suggests a slow, gradual process of decay. So that was about erode. And now let's move on to another word. A powerful adjective we used is formidable. Now, I spoke of building formidable moats. Now, formidable means inspiring fear or respect through being impressively large, powerful, intense, or capable. For example, we can say a formidable opponent in a chess match, a formidable challenge, or a formidable reputation. It's a word that conveys immense strength and difficulty. It's much stronger than just saying strong or difficult. It implies that the thing is so powerful, it makes you a little bit scared to take it on. All right, let's move on to another word. I mentioned the cost advantages can come from proprietary technology. So what is this proprietary? Well, proprietary means that something is owned by a particular person or company and is protected by a patent, copyright, or trademark. It's not available for public use. The proprietary software for your phone, the proprietary formula for a specific product, for example. It's a key legal and business concept indicating exclusive ownership. So that was about proprietary. What about inimitable? Well, this is a fantastic adjective for a truly strong advantage. This one is inimitable. Now, I said a brand like Coca-Cola is almost inimitable. Now, inimitable means so good or unusual as to be impossible to copy, something that is unique. A singer might have an imitable style. An artist might have an imitable flair. It's the ultimate description for a competitive advantage, suggesting it's one of a kind. And now let's turn to a danger that successful companies face: complacency. Now, complacency is a feeling of smug or uncritical satisfaction with oneself or one's achievements. It's a very negative word. It implies that you've become so satisfied that you've stopped trying and are unaware of potential dangers. A team that wins 10 games in a row might be in danger of complacency before the final match. Success can often lead to complacency, and it's very dangerous. And this leads me to a related idiom: to rest on one's laurels. And by this time, I know that you might be thinking, you haven't used all these words or expressions in your talk, and that's right. I'm just helping you learn some words or phrases that are related to the topic. Now, some of them I used, some of them I didn't use actually, but they're all related to the topic we're talking about. So coming back to this related idiom, as I told you, to rest on one's laurels. Well, this means to be so satisfied with your past achievements that you stop putting in the effort to continue being successful. The laurels refer to the laurel wreath given as a sign of victory in ancient Greece. If you rest on them, you're just relying on your past wins. For example, we can say, after winning the award, the company rested on its laurels and stopped innovating, which allowed its competitors to catch up. It's a great visual phrase to describe the dangers of complacency. A more neutral but important business term is economies of scale. This refers to the cost advantages that a business obtains due to its size, output, or scale of operation. The more you produce, the cheaper it is to produce each individual unit. This is a foundational concept in business and economics. You can say, for example, the company leverages its economies of scale to offer lower prices than its smaller rivals. So that was about economies of scale. And finally, let's look at the verb to foster. I mentioned that brands foster an emotional connection. To foster means to encourage or promote the development of something, typically something regarded as good. It's similar to cultivate. You can foster creativity in a team, foster a child's love of reading, or foster good relationships with clients. It implies a gentle, supportive kind of encouragement over time. Well, now for your speaking challenge. Well, my friends, now after we've talked about these 10 words and phrases, it's time for your speaking challenge. I want you to think of a brand you are personally loyal to. It could be a brand of coffee, a smartphone company, a car manufacturer, or a clothing line. Record yourself speaking for 2 to 3 minutes and explain why you are loyal. What is their competitive advantage from your perspective as a customer? Try to use at least 4 of the words or phrases we've discussed today. Is their brand inimitable? Do you think they are in danger of complacency? Do they create high switching costs that keep you locked in? Articulating this will make the concepts and the vocabulary stick. All right, but that's not everything. I have some questions for you to discuss. Now, we've laid out the blueprint for building a durable business, but the real world is always more complex than our models. Now, to take this conversation even further, here are some questions designed to make you think critically about these ideas. I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments section on our website, on my Patreon page, or of course, you can discuss these questions with your friends, with your family, with anyone who's interested, or with me, obviously, because I'm always interested in those things. Now, let me start with the first question. Can you identify a modern company that lost its sustainable competitive advantage? What, in your opinion, was the primary moat that was breached? Now, think about companies that were once dominant but have since faded. Was it a brand that lost its luster? Were their switching costs made irrelevant by a new technology? For example, did the ease of digital downloads erode the switching costs of owning a large CD collection? Now, analyze this specific failure. Now, my second question. In the digital age, which of the 4 moats do you believe is the most formidable and why? Now, let's debate the hierarchy of moats today. With technology changing so fast, have intangible assets like patents become less powerful? Has the internet made cost advantages harder to maintain? Or has network effects become the ultimate winner-take-all advantage that trumps all others? Well, think about that. And now let me move to my third question. Imagine you are starting a small online business. How would you attempt to build a sustainable competitive advantage against corporate giants? Well, this is a question of strategy. Since you can't compete on economies of scale, what could you do? Could you build a formidable brand in a very specific niche? Could you create a community that develops its own network effect? Could you offer such incredible personalized service that it creates high switching costs based on relationships? Well, think about that. And maybe you're already doing it, which is better, of course, if you want to talk about it. And now let me move to my fourth question. Think about your own life as a consumer. What products or services do you use where switching costs are a major factor in your loyalty? Well, this makes the concept personal. Is it your mobile operating system, iOS versus Android, your primary social media platform, your bank, the software you use for work? Discuss what the main points of switching would be for you and how effective that makes the company's moat. And now my final question. Is it always a good thing for society when a company has a very wide and formidable economic moat? Now let's consider the darker side. A powerful moat can lead to a monopoly or oligopoly, which can stifle innovation, reduce consumer choice, and lead to higher prices. Where do we draw the line between a healthy competitive advantage and an unfair market dominance that should be regulated? Well, these are the questions, and that brings me to the end of our episode. We conclude our look into the architecture of enduring success. Building a sustainable competitive advantage is not a matter of luck or a single brilliant idea. It is the patient, deliberate construction of a fortress, a formidable moat designed to protect the business for the long haul. The key takeaway is to learn to see these invisible structures, to recognize the difference between a company built on solid rock and one built on sand. As always, this conversation is just the starting point. To continue exploring the fascinating world of business strategy and to elevate your English vocabulary, I invite you to become a core part of the English Plus ecosystem. You can find full transcripts, comprehensive vocabulary lists, and join the discussion on our website, englishpluspodcast.com. If you're ready to unlock our entire archive of hundreds of episodes, you can subscribe to English Plus Premium on Apple Podcasts or on Patreon. And for those who are passionate about supporting independent creators and want access to everything I offer, consider my all-access tier on Patreon. gives you all my premium courses and audio series, and as a bonus, you get access to my own creative endeavors, including my original music and writing. With that being said, thank you very much for your time and curiosity today. Until next time, don't just build for tomorrow, build a legacy that will endure. I'm Danny, and this is English Plus Podcast. Remember, never stop learning.